Nobody saw what was about to happen. Not Rasheeda, not the crew, nor the actors. Cameras captured Kirk Frost in a furious outburst that surprised everyone and left Rasheeda crying in what is now regarded as one of the most stunning scenes in the history of love and hip-hop. Just a few hours after its broadcast, the video has already gone viral on social media. Fans are making demands. Producers are rushing to handle the backlash and find solutions. But the harm may already be done. It all happened on what was meant to be a typical day on the set. Another scene involving the long-term relationship. However, then something broke. Accusations were made, voices were raised, and then the online explosion happened. Nobody anticipated Kirk's sudden and unexpected attack on Rasheeda, coming from the man she had provided help for a long time. Viewers now have to speculate as to what actually occurred off camera. Was it an isolated explosion? Or does it point to something more serious and profound? Although Rasheeda has not spoken out in public, people close to her claim that she is devastated and done. According to reports, VA1 executives are worried that this controversy might not only destroy Kirk's reputation, but also jeopardize the franchise as a whole. You will be shocked by what we are going to reveal next, so stay put. The love and hip-hop stage was bustling with its typical, hardly controlled mayhem beneath the harsh glare of studio lights. Assistants were running around, cameras were set up, and makeup artists were finishing touches. Kirk entered wearing a tight shirt. His jaw tightened as if he were trying to contain a storm. The entire crew could sense the unmistakable coolness between them as Rasheeda sat off to the side, scrolling through her phone, attempting to look calm. But anybody who knew her could detect the emotional tension beyond the surface. Something wasn't right. Something was about to shatter. The audience was unaware that simply just before the start of the filming, Kirk had examined Rasheeda's phone. Although the communications were personal, they weren't controversial or inappropriate. Kirk's most recent betrayal was the subject of her venting to a friend. "I don't know how much longer I can keep pretending this marriage is okay," he said sharply. He refrained from confronting her at that time. Instead, he positioned himself on the scene and bided his time until the rolling of the cameras. But he was boiling inside. They were to film a straightforward dialogue concerning their son's academic circumstances. However, Kirk was unable to contain himself as the director called for action. He went on a tirade rather than following the script. "This is how you truly feel, then? Speaking behind my back while smiling on camera?" His voice was low but piercing. Rasheeda looked up, emotional and perplexed. Her voice was already shaking as she said, "What are you even saying?" "Your little messages. I read them all," Kirk yelled as he approached her. Uncertain if it was still a part of the scene or whether something had just become horribly real, the crew froze. Was it only a theatrical moment? Acting or actual life falling apart in front of everyone? The strain felt oppressive. The space felt heavy. The quiet was heavy. Rasheeda's gaze expanded. "You really looked through my phone?" Kirk fired back. "Don't pretend to be innocent. You've been smiling in my face and making fun of me behind my back." "Kirk, that is untrue. I'm tired of the dishonesty," Rasheeda said abruptly, and he snapped. At one point, the director attempted to pause the action and ask for a cut. But Kirk disregarded the cue since he was now completely overcome with emotion and could not be brought back. With teary eyes and a trembling voice, Rasheeda said, "I needed to let it out, Kirk. I feel like I'm drowning because you're never around. You lie, you're unfaithful, and I can't keep holding this inside." Those words pushed Kirk over the edge. He held up his hand. Nobody was prepared for what happened next. Time seemed to slow down as his palm made contact with Rasheeda's face in a terrifying moment. Like a loud crack, the sound reverberated throughout the studio. People let out a gasp. A clipboard fell to the ground with a clank. Rasheeda was astonished and stood still. She looked aside. He raised one hand slowly to his cheek. Just hit. Then there was a beat of quiet. Then anarchy ensued. Members of the crew hurried in. "Security!" cried the assistant director. A sound technician hurried over to Rasheeda's side and assisted her in leaving. Kirk seemed unable to comprehend what he had just done, as he stood motionless with his chest heaving and his eyes wide. However, it was irrevocable once it was done. The cameras continued to record, not quite out of purpose, but since nobody had clicked the stop button, it had all been captured from various perspectives. The show's veteran, Kirk Frost, was just caught on camera hitting his wife on the set. Word got out like wildfire outside the studio. A friend had previously received a message from one crew member. A terrible event just occurred. Rasheeda was struck by Kirk on camera, and that one message set off the fire. Social media took off in a matter of minutes. As she was led to her dressing room, Rasheeda's name began trending. Fans couldn't believe it. Reports kept coming in, but nobody wanted to trust what they were hearing. Various versions of the same tale show Kirk is not being portrayed favorably by any of them. Rasheeda returned to her dressing room and sat quietly. She had smudged makeup. Even though her cheeks were already red, she stopped crying. The one that the tears had stopped. There was just shock, heartache, and a strange sense of relief now, as if something that had been buried had finally come to the surface. "He really did it. He hit me," she murmured to her stylist. Outside her door, producers were in complete panic in front of everyone. While some wanted to completely stop production, others were rushing to make a statement before the video was leaked. However, it was too late. It had already been captured on a phone by someone on set. Kirk had already left the building when a shaky vertical cell phone video would be posted online, although the studio cameras captured everything in high definition. There was no apology, no justifications. Kirk didn't say anything, just a rigid posture, stiff shoulders, and a blank face. Say something. Not to his management, not to the crew. He just went outside, got into his car, and drove away. The first clip was online by the next morning. It was unmistakably low quality and unsteady. Rasheeda being struck by Kirk Frost. The responses were swift and intense. Fans were furious. Calls for his termination, arrest, and even a total cancellation came pouring in. Stars started adding their voice. No explanation, no apologies, just unacceptable. One rapper tweeted, according to a popular R&B musician, "I watched them growing up. This hurts. I'm sick over it." Even the show's executive producer, Mona Scott, was unable to remain mute. She posted a brief but direct message. "Violence is not appropriate in our production. There are important decisions being made." Rumors started to spread. Due to Kirk's lengthy suspension, VH1 may possibly cancel the entire season. Rasheeda remained silent despite the commotion. But she didn't remain silent for long. She only uploaded one picture to Instagram a few hours later. A blank black screen with no tags or caption, but her fans showered her with love in the comments and support. "We cherish you. You deserve so much better than to stay with him." She was under tremendous pressure to speak up and tell her truth, but the support was as intense. The inner turmoil raging inside her, shame, sadness, grief, and uncertainty was hidden from the public. She was unsure about what to do, whether to file charges or remain in the marriage, whether or not to leave for good.